Gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of Mashiach. Whoa, yeah. I gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Yeah. Whoa.
Shalom to the Negroes scattered to the four corners. So we got an exciting and hot topic today, and we're going to call this one, Why Do They Cry Anti-Semitism? But on a quick note, Zion, one quick announcement. For those of you who've not seen the last two videos on the New Testament Gentiles, titled The New Testament Gentiles and the Lost Scattered Northern Tribes, just look at my playlist, because YouTube is kind of funny because sometimes my videos don't show up on the main channel. So you have to go to my playlist to find that. Also, you'll see my other videos in my playlist as well too. Like I said, YouTube is kind of funny, and every time I make a video, it'll be in the main page for a while, but then I guess for other people, it doesn't always show up. So just to let you know where you can find my videos. But anyway, getting back to this topic, why do they cry anti-Semitism? Now, what is anti-Semitism anyway, and how do they define that? Because I find that very interesting. Ever since 1937, when them Khazarians went over to Jerusalem to claim that they are the Jews of the Bible, they've always been crying anti-Semitism. And I'm going to show you a chain of events that's been taking place ever since they went over there, and all of this stuff is just building up. But let's look at the term. Let's look at how they deem the definition. So when you look at anti-Semitism, according to their theology or their terminology, is hostility to or prejudice against Jews. Read that again. Hostility to or prejudice against Jews. You know, and I find that very, very interesting because they're claiming to be the Jews of the Bible when they're not. They're not even from the line of Shem. We are, the Negroes, we are the true Shemites. We are the true Jews, the true Israelites. So this would really apply to us, but you know, it's funny how they take something and they take a heritage and try to apply it to themselves, but then they try to flip it to make it seem like we're still in their heritage. And that incident that happened in New Jersey when they claimed two suspect or actors, as they call them, and it was a perfect setup because that area, New Jersey, is predominantly black. And so you have these Khazarian shops and stuff over there, but the area is mostly black. So it's a perfect setup. So you have to create, they have to create an environment or something to lead up to all this anti-Semitism, as they're calling it. Also, we're going to talk about the Noahide laws as well too. Now, this is nothing new. I remember them talking about this when I was a teenager. This has been around for a long time, over 50 years actually. But why is it now that they're coming out with this? And to just give a overall what this is all about. So the way they're trying to do this is the Noahide law consists of those 7 rules of life, supposedly, that we're going to go over a little later. And what they're trying to do is unite all the religions, or they're calling them 70 nations, under one banner, under one Khazarian banner, meaning that those who are over in Jerusalem right now are going to be over all the different religions, and they're supposedly supposed to be giving light to all the other Gentile or heathen nations. So they're calling themselves Jews, but calling us heathens when it's the other way around. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, how come I don't hear about this in the news? How come they're not making a big deal about this? Y'all remember when they took out the 10 Commandments? Probably don't remember, but the 10 Commandments used to be in the schools back in the 50s. And I remember coming up in the 70s, they still talked about it as well. So the Noahide laws always been around. They were trying to replace that. But the Noahide laws are just a code for the New World Order. That's all it is. Don't let it fool you. And like I said, we're going to go over more in detail on that. You know, the crazy thing about all of this is that this is so huge, but millions of our people are not going to even get it because it goes right over their head. And if you want to hide something really huge, all you got to do is hide it in plain sight. This has been in the making for a long time, Zion. So everything that's happening right now, the President Trump going for re-election, the whole impeachment thing, the whole anti-Semitism, think about it. It's a big setup for the Noahide laws to get the world ready and prepared to sympathize with these Khazarians. And that's why when Trump uses that slogan, "Make America Great Again," he's trying to unite all these white evangelists to come together under one banner, because they're already giving money, tons of money, and sending it to these Khazarians. They've been doing that for years. So when you start reading between the lines and you start really picking the pieces and putting the puzzles together, you begin to see the big picture. You begin to see what's really going on behind the scenes. Now, to understand why these Khazars cry anti-Semitism and why Trump declared Judaism as a nationality and why they're pushing so hard for these Noahide laws, we got to go back and understand why they have been trying to keep us silent. And I'm talking about the so-called Negroes, why they've been trying to keep us silent and never allowing us to rise up. There's a reason for this. Now, most of you've probably heard of this thing called COINTELPRO, which stands for Counterintelligence Program. Now, this was started back in the 50s by Hoover, and this program was specifically designed to stop any kind of black or so-called black rising movement, such as the Black Panthers, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and many more powerful black movements during that time. You know, they wasn't too much worried about the civil rights because the civil rights played right into the white supremacy hands. But it was a counterintelligence program designed specifically to keep Negroes from rising, from even thinking about rising. Now, y'all remember when the Black Panthers were out and strong, and they were classified as villains, demons, murderers, when they were out in the communities helping their own people, educating them, teaching them math and science and what have you. But when they threw that crack in the poor communities, in our communities, that was the end of the Black Panthers. Everything went downhill from there. So you got to understand, this war is real, Zion. It is real. And that is one of the main reasons why they would not give our people reparations, because they know it would be the end of their white supremacy. And they would let you know in plain sight that's the case. They mock us in the movies. They mock us in all sorts of media outplay.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
Oh, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
Now, this was a clip from an older movie called Trick Baby. And I wanted to show you this particular clip because it's very profound. Now, what he said something that was so key. He said it's only the smart ones we move up, because if we leave them in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. And see, that's what they're afraid of. And that's what they've always been afraid of. And that's why they're trying to do everything they can to keep us silent, to try to destroy us. Because this awakening that's happening, Zion, it's not a movement. So get that out of your head. This awakening that's happening, our people becoming conscious, realizing who they are, is not a movement. It is an awakening. And it's not so much the awakening that they're afraid of. All right, because anybody, any awakened Hebrew can run up and down the street and claim that, hey, I'm awoke. I realize who I am. I realize who my forefathers are. That ain't nothing. But it's when you start practicing the righteous acts of the Most High, that's when the heathens need to worry, because that's what's going to bring on the power and destruction of our enemies when we get back to those laws, commandments, and statutes. Anybody can claim to be woke. You have a lot of Hebrews who will claim to be awoke right now, but they're not practicing the righteous acts. They're just claiming the name Hebrew, but they're doing everything else. They're still eating pork. They still breaking the Shabbat. They don't keep the feast days. I mean, you might as well just be a heathen, blending in with them, and just continue to claim the name Hebrew. It's nothing. It's vain. It's vanity. So what have you accomplished just by claiming that you're awoke? It's going to take more than that. And the Most High desires more than that. We got to put these works to action, Zion. Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what's going to put true fear into our enemies. Because if we do this, Zion, all hell will break loose. And it's already starting to break loose because many of our people are getting back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. Now, that's the work being put in action, not just lip service. So let's go to the book of Jasher 13 and verse 4. It says, "And now, therefore, if you will hearken to my voice and guard my commandments," guard, that's serious, Zion. That means you guard these commandments by any means necessary. It says, "My statutes and my Torah, then will I cause your enemies to fall before you." Notice it says, "Then will I cause your enemies to fall before you," because like I said earlier, anybody can claim to be a woke Israelite. That ain't jack. What are you doing? What does your works consist of? And it goes on to say, "And I will multiply your seed like the stars of heaven, and I will send my blessings upon all the works of your hands, and you shall lack nothing." And King David's time was a prime example because everybody was happy to keep the laws back then. Can you imagine living back in King David's time where all our people were together at one spot? I mean, amazing. So now let's go ahead and go to the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, and we're going to look at verses 19 through 20. And it says, "The knowledge of the commandments of Yahuwah is the doctrine of life." Y'all hear that? The doctrine of life. "And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality." Now watch this, Zion. It says, "The fear of Yahuwah is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the Torah," of the law. In all wisdom is the performance of the Torah. So in other words, you ain't getting no Holy Spirit or Ruach until you get back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. Now, many people that's making videos and claiming Christianity, claiming they have the Spirit, they don't have the Spirit, Zion. Don't let that fool you, because the word is the facts. And the word does not lie. And this is crucial to understand, because when we start talking about these Noahide laws, you're going to understand why it's so important to be obedient to the Most High, Zion, because I'm telling you, persecution is coming. And will we see this in our lifetime? I truly believe so. And things are going to happen so fast. And it's going to get to a point, Zion, where you're going to feel like the Most High has totally abandoned his people. But that's not the case, because that's going to be the trying of our faith to see who's going to really stick with this until the end. Who is fake and who is real. That's what's going to be determined in these last days with our faith. So So those of you who are just claiming to be woke and nothing else, I feel sorry for you, because it's going to take more than just acknowledging that you're awake. So let's look at Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 9. And it says, he that turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his prayer shall be abomination. That's serious, Zion, and I don't think we take that seriously, because we've been so brainwashed through Christianity that this really means nothing to us. We'll look at this and be like, well, it don't really mean that. No, Zion, it means exactly that, because look where we are today. Look where we are as a result of our forefathers. Now go figure. Had our forefathers would have obeyed the Most High's voice, obeyed his words, we would not be in this situation. Now, getting back to these Noahide laws, why is it that these Khazars, the world elites that control everything, the movie industry, the news, media outlets, all of it, the banks, why are they such in a hurry to get this Noahide laws on the books? Now, you know, ever since these Khazars always tried to fit themselves, or has been trying to fit themselves in the prophecy. With the Holocaust, which was a fabricated, made up number, because there was no 6 million so-called Khazars that went to the pits. Probably wasn't even 300,000 of them. But all that was made up and fabricated. That's what that book, The 13 Tribes, was talking about. A lot of stuff was fabricated. And then the fact they tried to make themselves, the Israelites who were returning back to their homeland, that was also false. So ever since then, they've been trying to put themselves and fit themselves into prophecy. And why is that such a big thing to them, Zion? Because I'm telling you, once their kingdom falls, they know that's the end. And they know that us waking up and getting back to the Most High, that is a big threat to them. So that's why when you see situations like the New Jersey shooting, you're going to see a lot more stuff like that targeting these so-called Khazarians, because they got to make it seem like we blacks, the truly awakened, are fanatics, are haters of their existence, and they have to make us look like the villain in order for them to be protected and so forth, and try to carry out their plans. But it's all going to fail, Zion. I'm telling you, it's all going to fail. Now, I know many of you have done your research on these Noahide laws, and this whole thing is to bring in the one world government, and it's all connected with the Antichrist and the third temple. You know, it's all coming together, and the time is ripe. Now, like I said earlier, will we see it in our lifetime? Now, I truly believe so. Now, we don't know how long this process is going to take, but they're working this thing as we speak. And a lot of things are being put in places. You know, I mean, all this stuff that's happening, Zion, is all fulfilling right up to this very moment. So they have these 7 laws they call the Noahide laws, which are a modified version of the 10 Commandments, which they've used for themselves, claiming that they're going to govern the whole world with. And the first one is belief in God, do not worship idols. That's a mirror. We know where that one came from. Respect God and praise him. Respect human life. So they're taking like all the aspects of all the different religions, because Buddhism is one of the main religions that practice respect human life. But again, all of that came from the 10 Commandments. I mean, it's not rocket scientists. You know, respect the family, respect for others' rights and property, creation of a judicial system. Now, it's very interesting, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. Now, why are they working so hard to try to deceive the whole world and make it seem like they are the ones who are the true Israelites by trying to fit themselves in the prophecy? Well, the answer is simple. So they can issue in this one world government by using these Noahide laws, as they claim that they want to control all the 70 nations. It's all about power and control. I mean, it's happening right before our very eyes. And I mean, this stuff is exciting to see it being played out. Now, I want to read an article I came across. And like I said earlier, there's tons of information out there on the Noahide laws. So the sky's the limit. So let me read this part to you. It says, as an ancient moral code, they call it an ancient moral code, the Noahide laws have been a major influence in many cultures. In fact, in 1991, both House of Congress passed a bill signed into law. Y'all hear that? Signed into law by President George H.W. Bush, which I didn't even know that, did y'all? That declared the Noahide laws to be the bedrock of society. Now, what do they mean, the bedrock of society? So remember those 7 rules I showed you? That's what they want to govern the whole world by, those 7 principles. It says the bedrock of society from the dawn of civilization, and the ethical values and principles upon which our great nation was founded. It's talking about America. This place was founded on the backs of slaves. So that right there tells you the bogus that this thing consists of and what they're trying to do. They are truly preparing for the rise of the Antichrist. And these Noahide laws is just one step of them doing this. I'm telling you, this thing is getting ready to pop like we've never seen before. You just got to pay attention and read between the lines, because as the years go by, we're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff. And like I said earlier, with this whole thing that's going on with Trump, with the impeachment, which is a distraction. I mean, it's working because people are not even paying attention to what's going on. Now, as you saw, Zion, the Noahide laws have already been signed into Congress and passed. So again, how come we are just now hearing about these things? Because the time is right. It's time for them to go ahead and push this thing, because they have to try and make every effort to put themselves into prophecy and to try to shut us up, because they know the truth. They know who we are as a people, and they've always known it. So now, what does that mean for us? What does these Noahide laws, the one world government, the New World Order, all this has to have to do with us as a people? Well, I'm going to tell you why, Zion. Because they know that we are waking up. They realize, and they thought at one time that this was just going to be a fly-by-night movement, like the Black Panthers and Marcus Garvey and all the other movements that took place. The ADOS movement, which is a joke, because they're not going to give none of our people reparations. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. This kingdom is going to have to be destroyed. So they know that we are waking up and grasping this truth. They see all the videos. They see our people constantly preaching this gospel, spreading the word, telling their family members and what have you. And at the same time, these Khazars are being exposed. Those who are living in Jerusalem right now, claiming to be us, they're being exposed. So they have to hurry up and push this plan through. And so I'm telling you, we're gonna, and this is why we're gonna see persecution amongst our people, because the very last effort to try to shut us up is that they're gonna just go ahead and try to kill us. Now, I know we've seen tons of reports of guillotines coming in the U.S., all kind of stuff, coffins, what have you. So it's getting ready to heat up, Zion. And like I said earlier, will we see this in our time, in our day? Well, we're going to find out as the years go by. But we got to stay prayed up, because, the Bible says that we will be persecuted for his sake. And if you go to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12, it says, yea, and all that will live in the fear of Yahuwah and Yahusha HaMashiach shall suffer persecution. And what that's going to look like, time will tell. But I know one thing, Zion, we better get our acts together. And the Bible says we are a set apart people. We need to start acting like a set apart people and practicing these righteous acts of the Most High. That's the only way we're going to make it. And we're going to have to pray for one another. I don't know when this media stuff is going to be shut down, or what's going to go, if they're going to shut channels down or not. I don't know, but I'm not really worried about that right now. My thing is praying for my people and pleasing the Most High. That's all I can do. For me and my house, I'm going to serve the Most High. So look this stuff up, Zion. It's out there. Look up these Noahide laws. Look what's going on. Just pay attention. You know, I like to do a lot of reading, so there's a lot of stuff out there on the net, and use it while we still have it, because that's one thing that have not shut down yet. So you still have all this information right before our very eyes. So, like I said, it's just exciting to see all this stuff happening right before our very eyes. That's why these Khazars that are living over in Jerusalem, calling themselves the Jews, Christ anti-Semitism. Why? Because they know they are not the Israelites of the Bible. They know this. But because they have tricked and lied, so many people who are born over there grew up thinking that they're descendants of the Israelites from the Bible. Nothing can be further from the truth, and all of it is being exposed. I mean, it is being exposed, and that's why they're pushing all this stuff. Noahide laws, the one world, the new world order. Everything is being set up for the rise of the Antichrist. And I'm going to tell you, when the Most High releases these 4 horsemen of Revelation, half the population of the earth is going to perish. But we ain't seen nothing yet. We ain't seen nothing yet, Zion. So just hang tight. And as y'all's willing, this won't be the last video I do on the Noahide laws, because I got my eyes wide open watching Congress and watching our government, seeing every move that they make. So pay attention, Zion. Exciting times we're living in. So with that being said, I'm going to say shalom and stay strong.
Here's the passion of the saints. Here are they to keep the commandments of the Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Yo, yeah, whoa. I'm here to encourage you, brothers and sisters, trying to paint to you a better picture. Everything I say, I back it up with the scriptures to get you out the matrix. It's been over 400 years of life. You gotta open up your eyes, 'cause there's so many reasons we in captivity. You gotta flee from the heathens. There is hope in our future, even though they trying to do us in. But we live to fight another day. Vengeance is Yah. We'll be praying for Yahuwah. I gotta thank Yahuwah for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Whoa. Here are they to keep the commandments of Yah, and the faith of Mashiach. Oh, whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah. I gotta thank Yahuwah for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they to keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Oh, whoa, hey, hey, whoa, whoa. Do da da da. Do we do da da. Do we do da da. Do da do. Beat da 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 da. Do we do